Good evening and welcome to our special 2026 World Juniors Tournament recap show. Not such a good game tonight, Vigs. It's a 6-3 loss for the Americans.
Yeah, we had a great crowd here at Grand Casino. It seemed like everyone was into it, and just a couple mistakes were the difference to really put this game out of reach for USA. Bad bounce on the first goal off a skate, and then some turnovers that Sweden is too good to let them have those opportunities.
Kind of a surprise starting goal, at least for me tonight. I didn't think we would see anyone other than Kempf and Heil.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Motzko talked about in this tournament that we might see all three goalies. This could be a goalie by committee tournament for USA Hockey. And I think, it's almost like he just wanted to see it, just to make a call on it going forward to make sure he's not missing anything. And, not a great performance for him in his debut. And, he was pulled in the third period and Kempf was back in there. We talked about goaltending after the game with Motzko, and he's like, I think I have enough information to make a decision on our goalie going forward. So, if you're going to make a mistake, this is probably the last chance to make one.
Yes, like Kemp did come in the third period, gave up a goal, but also was peppered quite a bit and made some pretty decent saves.
Yeah, I thought he looked good in his other appearance as well. Of the three goalies, he's the guy who seems to play on the top of his paint the most. He's the guy that seems to track the puck the best, handles his rebounds, got out and played the puck when he needed to. So I think Kempf is going to be the goalie going forward here for USA Hockey.
So I'm watching the game, first 9 or 10 minutes. USA is playing really well. I'm like, man, they are just all over them. Maybe not as many shots, but they were pressuring. They were stealing pucks, stopping Sweden in their tracks when they were just trying to come up the ice. And then I kept thinking, why? Sweden gets the goal, and all of a sudden the game really changed. And then a couple minutes later, there's a tweet from you saying almost the exact same thing, that the U.S. game just kind of changed right after Sweden got that goal.
Well, I think there was just some energy in the building that was dropped after that goal. It's an unlucky bounce for the U.S., and I thought the game really kind of slowed down. There were a lot of icings, a couple offsides, and the pace of the USA play just kind of dropped off a little bit. I thought, they came out pretty physical, which I think is kind of a calling card of this series the last couple of years with U.S. and Sweden. We talk about the rivalry with Canada all the time. Really, Sweden and the U.S. have been going at it in a lot of these international tournaments the last couple of years.
Well, let's take a look at a couple of, at least the three goals the U.S. scored tonight. Here we go with Mr. Reed leading it off after the U.S. was already down 2-0.
Good opportunity as Eisman was able to pull the trigger, but turned aside again. Chase Reed across. They throw it through. The goaltender makes a stop. Rebound chance, and they score! Chase Reed!
So, Reed gets him on the board there after it was pretty down, for almost a period, because that's what my Smith base in the second period. It was a little rough when Sweden had gone up 3-0, actually.
Yeah, one thing about the U.S. and their goals against Herrenham tonight where, it was the multiple opportunities. It was getting second chances, traffic around the net. I thought that was a key for them. And you see on this one here, it takes 3 whacks to get it, to the net.
Next goal, Mr. Zellers again. Boy, he's having a great tournament.
Rebound chance, stopped again, and it rolls in.
Let's see if I can go back and catch a little bit more of that there. Sorry about that.
He gets Hagens. Hagens with a shot stopped.
Crash in the net, Vigs. That's really what happened there for the Zellers goal again.
Yeah, and you see him out there with Hagens and Ziemer for a shift here. I think Motzko is trying to get Zellers ice time with them here and there. That's not the line chart the way they drew it up starting in the game. So they're trying to get some offense. And Zellers is tied for the tournament lead in scoring. He hasn't added a ton more besides the goal scoring, but he's been in the right spot. And, cleaning up this one, just a delicate little chip over the goalie.
It was a nice chip, actually. And then finally we got Stiga getting the third goal with a great, what you call the slap pass from
Pass work by Team USA. Mooney takes a look, throws it to the front, and they score! Deflection in front! Teddy Stiga!
They didn't win the game tonight, Viggs, but it seems like they were still having a good time out there. They were still really celebrating.
Well, I think they still believe they had a chance here. This is early in the third period. Really nice play here by Mooney. He's definitely going for that stick with this shot pass, and it's right on the money, and Stiga redirects it perfectly. Just a really good play there on the power play. There's not a lot of room to fit this puck, but you got the PK guys, I think, looking for that pass across, and he changes it up with something to the net. And, I think in a short tournament like this, you need your power play going. And it seems to me that LJ Mooney is going to be a big part of that. We saw him taking draws tonight again on the power play and winning them. That's going to be a dangerous weapon for them as they get into medal play.
And as we've said, too, is that we're hoping we see more Mooney on the faceoffs when he comes back for the Gophers as well.
Well, it's so critical to start your power play with possession. It sets the tone for the power play. And sometimes, if you have a penalty kill that has a face-off specialist, they get caught out there too. It just creates more opportunities for your team.
One of our biggest watchers, Mote, he's watching us on New Year's Eve. Happy New Year to you, Mote. It's great that you're, tough game to watch, but he's one of our biggest fans, Vig. So I'm glad he's watching tonight, and hope you have a good New Year, Mote. All right. Other games, Vigs, now the U.S. needs to kind of wait to see who they're going to play. They're going to be the second seed coming out of Group A. They're going to face the third seed out of Group B, which right now technically is Finland. If Finland wins tonight against Canada, it will be Czechia, who Team USA plays on Friday.
Yeah, I was talking to Chris Peters a little bit tonight about that matchup, and he said neither one. U.S. is probably the underdog against those teams. Finland, when they were here for the summer showcase, looked like a very tough physical team. They've got some talent. They've looked good in this tournament. Czechia as well, a team that's probably more talented than the U.S. on the back end, and we'll give them a handful. So tough result here. I think the difference between winning the group and finishing second is a big one. So all the quarterfinals games are going to be difficult, but finishing second and having to play the third team is tougher than the fourth.
And the second period just started with Canada and Finland, so I just thought I'd throw that up on the screen. That's a big game. It's a crazy first period, 3-3 after one period over there. Marici did look a bit more populated tonight.
Yeah, Scott Wheeler from The Athletic tweeted that the tour buses have arrived in Minnesota. He saw many Canadians with beers in hand. Now it's the real tournament.
And so we already know Finland's going to play Latvia on that side. Who knows which team Latvia could show up? You just never know, because obviously they played Canada overtime. I'm liking this medal round. We don't know how it's going to set up yet, but it's looking very competitive. I don't see any kind of blowouts coming for any game.
Yeah, I mean, all the teams that are in the quarterfinals are going to be tough. Switzerland, I think, has played a low-scoring, tight game. They're probably one of the stingiest teams out there. Yes. Latvia's been a handful in their games. So, being the fourth seed in those pools, they're still pretty good. And I think, the top teams in this tournament haven't necessarily hit their stride. I think we saw some good play from Sweden tonight.
Oh, yes.
They're probably my favorite going into the medal play. But, you never know what's going to happen. This is a young tournament where there's a lot of mistakes made. We saw a lot of penalties tonight in the game, which was good for Sweden, but a lot of undisciplined play by the Swedes as well.
Well, let's talk about some of the reffing, Vigs. Funny. I'm supposed to have said hi to Dylan over there. Dylan Laux is over there with you. He's like, I'm guessing nothing along the boards is getting called, because that's his observation. And I'm like, you're not really wrong. I mean, the play that kind of led to the two-man advantage right before that, our guy was just basically checked his head into the boards and the ref at the same time. Didn't even look at it.
Yeah, it's so strange. Like in college, you definitely see that contact of the head boarding stuff is going to get reviewed. And it looked pretty clear that there was contact of the head and into the boards. Just curious that IIHF doesn't review that stuff very well. Somebody tried to ask Bob about that after the game, and he's like, well, can you ask that again? Because I can't really say anything about it. But, he always tries to turn it around on the reporter to answer their own question on those.
Because you look, Max Plant took a hit up high. I don't even think we saw a replay of that, much less nobody stopped to look at it. But he came back a little bit that game, but he's been gone ever since. Didn't play tonight. He's highest scoring player in college hockey right now that could probably use some of his offense.
Yeah, and Bob said they probably won't see him back. Definitely not for the quarterfinals, and probably it sounds like he might be out for the tournament, just to be on the safe side. The bright news for USA fans is Cole Hudson should be back for the quarters. That's what Motzko said after the game. I think they're just being cautious with him as well. This team needs a Cole Hudson to be successful. He's probably going to have to play 25, 30 minutes and really help this team out. So, on the bright side, he got a couple days of rest here. And we'll see what this team looks like with him back in the lineup.
Well, I don't really have much else, Viggs. Any other ideas? Anything else we want to talk about? I mean, it's time to go have some drinks, isn't it?
It's probably time to celebrate the end of 2025 and the start of 2026. I do think Team USA made a lot of mistakes tonight. I don't think Sweden totally outplayed them, because they were taking advantage of USA turnovers. So if you're looking for some sort of silver line to this game, it's another opportunity for the U.S. to realize you can't be making those kinds of mistakes and giving away pucks. Brody Zimmer said after the Germany game during the film, the coaches pretty much said, if you want to win in this tournament, you need to clean that up. And they did that in their last two games, but that showed up again tonight against Sweden. Maybe with the full house tonight, the matchup with the Swedes, guys were trying to do maybe too much, and it got them in trouble. And I think the identity of this team, if they want to get a medal, they're going to have to play a little more conservative, and they're going to have to wait for the offense to come to them and then capitalize, because I do think this team has a good group of forwards that can score goals. The problem with this team is they don't have defense who can get in the play and really control everything there. So we'll see how this tournament plays out.
Well, the interesting thing is that the way it sets up the brackets, it could, lead Team USA right into Canada in a semi, and Finland into Sweden in a semi. I was kind of picking, a little bit switched in that, maybe Finland and Canada. I was thinking Finland and Sweden were going to make it to the final, but that's just, I don't think that can happen now. But it does make for some interesting semi matchups, which would be on Sunday, wouldn't it?
Yeah, coming up. Well, yeah, I'm not going to plan that out quite yet, but good hockey ahead. 3 days of hockey still.
It is. Well, I hope you're having a good time over at the DX. Yeah, you meeting any new people? I suppose you're seeing a lot of people, aren't you?
Yeah, there's a lot of people here. So I'm looking forward to the medal rounds when we get all of our friends who are covering Canada in the Grand Casino eventually here for the semis.
That will be exciting. All right, Viggs. You have a great New Year's, man.
You as well. Thanks for everyone following along with us.
And we'll see you on Friday night, probably around the same time, 8:30. And it'll either be, it's obviously do or die for US. So we'll have to see. But we appreciate you all listening to us. Have a happy New Year, and we will catch you next time.